Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a Procreate Pocket tutorial and I want to show you how you can create one of these abstract art pieces with a little bit of lettering on your iPhone. You see that I've got two different iPhones here. This one here is the iPhone XS Max and then this one here is the iPhone 12 Pro. But I'm actually going to use the iPhone XS Max for this video tutorial. You can do this on any iPhone that supports that Procreate Pocket app, and that goes all the way back to the iPhone 7. And then you'll see here I've got two different stylus pins. They've got a little brush attachment here, and then on the other side they've got a little knobbly bit, and they are really nice stylus pins to work with the phones. And I will be using these for this tutorial. I will leave a link in the description of this video in case you're interested in getting one of these stylus pins. Alright, so now let's get started. In case you're not familiar with that Procreate Pocket app, I very much recommend that you watch my beginner tutorial just to get familiarized with the basics of Procreate Pocket. But I don't think it's too bad if you haven't watched it yet, because the features we are going to use are quite simple and I think you'll be able to follow along quite easily. We're going to start with a new canvas, and the template I'm using here is part of my canvas brush set. This is a set of Procreate brushes, but it also comes with a template. So let's have a quick look at the template. You can see here that it consists of some textures which are at the top of the layer stack, and then it has a layer where we're going to paint, and it also has some guidelines, so you can turn these guidelines on and off, and these are really helpful for lettering purposes, but we're going to turn them off for now and we're going to use that paint layer to get started. If you don't have that canvas brush set, you can actually also use any of the other Procreate brushes. Probably something in the artistic brush set will work nicely. You also don't necessarily need the template. This just creates a nice little texture, as you will see later on, but it's totally fine to just use a blank canvas for this as well. I'm going to start with the Canvas Wash 1 brush and then choose one of my favorite colors. And so what we're going to do now is create a textured background. So I'm just going to paint some color in here. And you can see how this brush works really nicely. It's almost like painting on real canvas, except that we are doing it on the phone. And then we're going to change up the colors a little bit. So just painting in any of your favorite colors, and then maybe we can add a bit of blue as well. And you can't really make any mistake here. This is really all about creativity and exploring how all the different colors work together. One of the things that I found works really nicely is that if you choose similar colors, so for example I start painting with a dark purple color, and then I'm going to select a slightly lighter version of a similar color and paint it right next to it. So this creates a nice blend, and this is how it ends up looking really nice. So to start with, I'm using similar colors. I'm going to stick to the purple, pink and blue color scheme, and I just keep painting this until I'm happy with it. And then what we're going to do after this, we're actually going to choose an accent color, and I usually like adding yellow. I really like yellow and I find it a really pleasing accent color. So now I'm going to just paint this over the top, and you can see now this brush creates a really nice blend as well if you paint yellow over the top, and it brings out that canvas background texture as well. Of course, this is only an accent, so you don't want to paint this too much, just a little accent, and you can carry on doing this until you're happy with your composition. So now I think I'm going to go back and I want to add in a little bit more of that light purple here. And this is starting to look really nice. So now what we can do as well, you might not like these colors, but it's actually quite easy to change. So we can tap on modify, and then we can go to color adjustments and then hue, saturation and brightness. And so what you can do now is change the overall color composition of your painting. You can also change the saturation and the brightness here, or alternatively what you can do as well is choose the curves, and this is quite a powerful way of changing colors. So you have that gamma selection here which changes the overall lightness and darkness of your color. You can see now how we can make this a lot more saturated, and this is how you can increase or decrease the contrast of your painting. So if you create a little S curve like this will increase the contrast of your painting. Or what you can do as well, you can go into the different channels here. So let's start with the red channel, and now we can change how the reds are going to be represented in our painting here. We can do the same with green. So you can add or remove the green color, and then the same with blue as well. And if you wanted to know what this looked like before you made all these modifications, you can tap on the screen and you can tap preview, and you can see now the changes that we've made and how much more colorful this painting is now. And then once you're happy, you can tap on the icon again, and then you can lock in these colors. And I think this looks really nice now. And so the next thing we want to do is add our lettering. So we're going to go back to the layers panel, and we're going to grab the guides. I'm going to turn them on. I'm going to move them above that painting layer so I can see where they are. And then I'm also going to create a new layer so that I can add my lettering here now. So I'm going to tap done. I've also adjusted these guidelines to be at a slight angle. And so now we can add our lettering. I'm going to write with white to start with. And now I'm going to use the other end of that stylus pen, this little knobbly part. And I'm going to change the brush. And I'm going to use the thick paint brush. This is part of that canvas brush set as well. And if you don't have this brush set, then you can use any of the calligraphy brushes that come with Procreate Pocket. Now the lettering is a little bit difficult on the phone because you don't have quite the precision that you have on the iPad, for example. But with a little bit of practice, I think you can still create some really nice lettering, even though you've got a small screen and it's not super precise. But also because we're using this brush here, it's actually not meant to be all that precise. So this is meant to have a painterly look and feel to it. And because I'm using my iPhone XS Max, which has pressure sensitivity, I can get these thick and thin strokes. Unfortunately, you won't be able to do this on a newer iPhone. So the iPhone 11 or the iPhone 12, unfortunately, don't have 3D touch anymore. So your strokes won't get thick and thin. But what you can do instead, you can just create thicker strokes by painting them in manually. So you can go over your stroke again and paint in the thickness afterwards like this, right? And then here we're going to write this. And then if you're not quite happy with your composition, what you can do is add a new layer, decrease the opacity of the previous layer, and then you can write it again. You're just going to go over the top, and you see here that the distance between this and God is a bit too much in comparison to this line here. So now I'm just going to write it again, and this time I'm going to start the Y a little bit higher, and then I'm not going to bring the descender down too much to sort of keep it in line with the O and the U. And then the same with the G. I think that was the problem. So I'm going to try and keep it on this same line here so that I can bring this up a little bit closer to this line here. And then it will look a lot nicer. Right, so now we can turn that previous layer off. We can also turn that guides off and see what this looks like. This is much better. So now what we can do is actually position this in the center of the page. And then you might also make this just a little bit smaller like this. And then we can make this even nicer. So what we want to do is create a little shadow to make the lettering stand out from the background. So now we're going to open the layers panel, and we're going to duplicate this layer. And then on the bottom layer, we're going to alpha lock this by swiping to the right. And you can see that it's alpha lock because it now has this checkered background. And the reason why we're doing this is so that we can fill it with black. So now we're going to select the black color, and then we're going to go back to the layer and we tap on fill layer. So now this fills it with black. And now we're going to have to unlock it again. So you can either swipe to the right again to remove the alpha lock, or you can tap on it and you can see alpha lock is turned on. You can tap on it, and that's how you can turn on and off alpha lock as well. All right, so now we're going to go to modify, and then we're going to go to adjustments, and we're selecting that Gaussian blur from the blur functions. So we're tapping on Gaussian blur, and now we're going to swipe to the right and create this blur, and don't want to blur it too much. So this is now 13%, and I think this is all we need. But what we're going to do next as well, we're going to tap on the arrow, and we're going to slightly offset the shadow, and I think this looks pretty good. And now you can see that the white is not as white as it used to be. So what we can do now is duplicate this layer, and then we can merge two layers together. So now this has intensified the white, and so it looks much whiter than it did before. And we've also got a little shadow to make your lettering piece stand out. And there you have it. This is how you can create a lettering piece with an abstract background on your phone. As you can see, it didn't take very long, but this is super fun to do. You can do it anywhere because you'll most likely have your phone with you. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And then I'm also going to put up another couple of videos with Procreate Pocket tutorials, so you can keep watching and you can keep learning more about how to be creative with your iPhone. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.